Good morning.
Good morning.
247commitment.org. Lori Mercer and Dan Mercer this morning.
Good morning.
Hey guys. Hi Carolyn. Hi Jennifer. I hope Rich comes on because look what I did. He said, you guys need a banner. This was the best I could do this morning. And you can't even, the focus is probably not even allowing you guys to read that. But Jessie, look, she's involved is Jessie. Jessie just got on Periscope yesterday.
Jesse Jackson.
Jesse Jackson. Rich. There's Rich.
Miss Jackson, if you're nasty.
Rich, I got my sign. It's temporary. I have visions of I can put a nice chalkboard back there that we can change each time, right? But I need to work on my handwriting because that's not super neat, right? But the topic today, look at my notes. Topic today is apology languages. So I wrote a blog post way at the beginning of Firefighter Wife, and it was something like, I'm totally forgetting the title, but we're going to link it in here, and this is not throwing my husband under the bus because now I got to say this all with him sitting next to me, that he didn't say I'm sorry for 7 years. And actually he doesn't say the words I'm sorry very much, but now I get it because it is not his natural love language or apology language, right? So you all know the book Love Languages, like what's the love language of your spouse and your own, and you receive love the most when it comes in the form of your love language. Apology language is the same way, that people have different apology languages. And a lot of it has to do with like your upbringing, but that's totally not an excuse because we can learn and grow and change, and you should be. Like I should be wanting to like learn his apology language and his love language and learn to do it better. So that's the gist of this discussion today. So maybe let's just start. Who has read this book? Who has read The 5 Languages of Apology? Let's see if I can get that in there. Anybody?
Don't feel bad. I haven't read it either, obviously.
Hey, to be fair, I haven't read this whole book cover to cover because
She doesn't read many books cover to cover.
I don't. I read the intro, I go through the outline, I get the gist, I read reviews on the book. Oh, never heard of it. Okay, good. Then this is something new. I don't know. I'm just that kind of learner. Some people like to read cover to cover. I'm kind of a speed reader.
Speed reader.
Yes.
Incomplete reader.
But come on, I get it. If I get enough from it, it's okay. It's okay. Oh, for your next road trip. Yeah, actually the one I happened to pull up was like an Audible listen to book on tape. Christine, that's Christine Sebo, by the way. Tracy Turner. I can't believe you guys haven't heard. I've talked about this a ton on Firefighter Wife. That tells me I'm definitely not pushing my blog post as much as we could be. So in the end, there's 5 languages of apology, and there's a test you can take online. And I'm not going to be able to recap all 5 of them, probably because I didn't read the book cover to cover. But it's similar to the love languages, right? Like some people are very verbal love givers. Some people, it's acts of service. And the apology languages are similar. So we would get in big blow-up fights. This is no secret. We've written all about it all over the website. And he would go for days without talking to me, and I would go for days being like writing novels of emails to him about, what's going on, what I think's going on, and, nothing. Radio silence, like no response. And eventually, there would be something that would break the ice. Usually it was something with the kids. We could just kind of ease back into being in the same room together, and something would just soften our hearts and we'd reconcile. But he never said the words, I'm sorry. And that sort of stuck with me because I was like, man, he said some really awful things and I never heard the words. But he would come home and like do all the laundry and do all the dishes and like come off shift and just be like a different person. And I knew that was like his way of, all right, things are going to be okay. This one wasn't a deal breaker. We're going to get through it. And yeah, I mean, you do say I'm sorry now. He's very good about saying I'm sorry now. But early on, that was definitely not.
And I was so disconnected from it that I can't even really recall what she's talking about. Like I have to take her at her word. And that didn't happen because you see yourself much different than the world sees you. And So I guess the point of that, for the educational benefit of why we Periscope, is guys, gals too, do that 360. Ask people, if you're trying to examine what your apology language is, maybe for the 7 years, maybe, if Lori would have just dropped in, ask other people, you don't say you're sorry. And I'm, of course, as a husband, would have been like, what? Of course I do. You're crazy. And if you have a moment where you're not in a conflict, where you say, ask someone else, ask your mom, ask your sister, ask your coworkers, I'm not crazy. It's not just me, So I think if Lori, looking back, if Lori would have done that and we would have had somebody we trusted, someone whose opinion we trusted, express that to me, when it's coming from a different source other than the person who's expecting the apology, it becomes a little bit more right there in your face. At least the guys like me who need to be hit in the head with a frying pan to get my attention.
Right. That's right. We're not mind readers, and that's part of that was what the 7 years was about. I'm like, we survived 7 years, and I never felt like I was getting an apology. He thought he was doing it all along, and it just took some time for us to communicate and learn that. And
it might have been that I didn't think I was wrong.
Oh my gosh. Apologizing for everything is a different topic, right? Because sometimes people are legitimately in the wrong. Now, we have the opposite problem too, where people constantly blame the other. The opposite end of apologizing for everything doesn't let your partner own their part of the issue.
Right.
Okay, so you need to be careful about that, because you're not being honest about your feelings.
Well, and as the other side of that, if Lori was that way, if she was constantly apologizing to me, well, that's like easy street. That puts me on like, why would I even try to strengthen that muscle, that apologizing muscle, or why would I look for self-improvement if there doesn't seem to be anything I need to improve on? There has to be something, has to not force our hand, but something has to be presented in order for change to occur.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're guys, and some guys aren't like this, but me, I can only speak for me personally. If it's not brought to my attention, I got other things to focus on. I got to keep moving.
Yeah. I'm laughing at what Christine said. That's a whole different topic, because I agree.
What's that?
What you were just talking about. And it's okay, because Christine and I were talking about how you and Sean could get in a room and just go around a million topics together. And A.E. Kenner, tell me your first name and where you're from, that you just said you just caught us live for the first time. That's awesome.
Who's Noah's mommy?
Carolyn Kirkland, who is in...
Todd's doing it right then. If he's apologizing and taking care of the housework, well, that's a win-win. That's his way, and that's... I guess a big thing we didn't talk about was a couple... Like, what if I don't like the way Lori's apology language is? What if that doesn't jive with me? What if that's not satisfied with me? That could be horrible.
Because it's not your apology language.
Right,
I'm doing it wrong.
Just because it's not my yeah. And same with her. Maybe I was trying for them 7 years, and she just was like, that ain't what I want to hear. I need you to sit down across from me and verbalize, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And if you don't talk about that,
And you just triggered something really good. You know what people really want to hear?
That's what I do. I trigger good things.
This is why it's good to do it together. What I really would have wanted to hear back then is not just I'm sorry, but I'm sorry and I'm working on myself and I never want that to happen again.
Sure.
Like, those are such powerful words in a relationship, right? Like, I recognize this, I'm working on it, and I never want it to happen again.
It goes along the lines of, we've said it before, you not only want me to be sorry, you want me to want to be sorry.
Yeah.
It's not just, I don't want you to just say you're sorry. I truly want you to be. I want you to understand why I need you to be apologetic.
Ooh, that's a good point too. Like well, I'm sorry. That is not really an I'm sorry. That's the wrong tone.
I've done that.
An apology with a plan.
Times before.
That is a great statement, Tricia. An apology with a plan is best to hear after a disagreement. Yeah. We explain what we're thinking and feeling so the other person actually understands. Yeah, it's that's the basic communication thing. Like, I hear you saying this. Am I interpreting that right? And making sure you're getting on the same page. Yeah, it takes a while to come around to that sometimes. It really does. It does.
I don't think you'll nail it every time either. Like, there'll be times when the topic isn't that conflictual, and it'll be quick and easy, right? And I don't even have to understand why she's got as upset as she did, or why she's, like if I don't. Sometimes I just don't need a long explanation from her. And I think we're growing in marriage as we've gotten better, and trust and all that is established. It can be, when I'm running out the door, and we've had like a little dust up or something. We're at a point now, thank heavens, that I can say, look, I'm sorry. You're right. And I didn't mean it that way. I don't have time to explain right now. I gotta take Macy to Brownies, but yeah, we'll either come back to it or that's enough. There's been times where, thank heavens, we're getting to a point now where she sincerely believes me when I just go, I didn't mean that. That came out the wrong way. Or I didn't know it meant that much to you. Those, if you find those little key things to say that you've already established trust with somebody, and yeah.
Mrs. Utes, that's Heather Utesy, by the way, had a great point that if you apologize, but there's no meat behind it, like the pattern doesn't change, the behavior doesn't change, you don't keep your promise, you don't build trust that way with each other. That's definitely you can just words.
You can almost like script that. It's like, I'm sorry. You do that every time. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that's okay that you're sorry, but you do it every time. If you're hearing that, guys, if you're hearing that, ladies, that's an indicator of, it's not, word more than words,
I'm sorry, but yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, but that's where you're still sort of in that processing place. Like, to legitimately, even if you don't agree, I think it's important to be like, I'm really sorry that this hurt your feelings, and this is something we're going to have to work through. Like, you can disagree, but be genuinely sorry that whatever happened hurt that person's. I mean, we have this a lot. Still, like, that's probably our most common disagreement right now is like, I'm never intending to hurt your feelings, but we got this issue over here that you and I see differently, and we're going to have to keep going through it.
We're very different people. I mean, you guys will see us as this couple that gets along great, and we do, but it's because I understand who she is and she understands who I am. And, she does things way different than I would. Her attention and her focus is 10 times more concentrated than mine. And that's okay. Like, it creates great things. All this that she's doing with you folks and with the 24/7 commitment. None of that would have come into play. None of that would be even possible if it weren't for her drive and her focus and everything. But at the same time, I live a life that's much different. I focus on much different things, and I can get jealous. I can get not upset, but like I want her to be in a different focus for a moment, and so she apologizes for that. It's like, am I rambling? The point I'm trying to make is that I understand even the things that I don't like. She's not doing to honk me off. And in the same token, most of the things I do, I'm not doing to deliberately honk her off.
And it's good. What you're saying is, another way to say that is, you apologize about a situation or disagreement. It doesn't mean that you have to entirely change who you are.
Right.
To be a different person for your spouse.
That's it, exactly.
You're trying to get to the point that you appreciate each other as you are, and you understand that your different personalities might rub each other the wrong way or react differently in different situations. And you know what? This is why marriage is forever not easy, because every age you get to, every milestone, there's new things that'll rub you the wrong way.
And she knows, I believe in my heart that she knows, like, I'll say, why don't you not do that? Come do this. Or why don't, that's not that important. And, the stuff that she feels is important, but at the moment I don't see it the way she's.
And it hurts my feelings sometimes when he says that. He's like, that's not very important to me. It is very important, right?
But she'll say, I'm taking care of it. I know you're not pleased with it right now. I'm sorry, but point of my ramblings, she knows in her heart, and we both know where that's enough lies. Would you not agree? She can lay that card on the table and be like, that's enough. No, and give me the, and I can do the same thing. If I'm convicted about what I'm saying is right, and it's not a temporary apology, there's not a dismiss. I don't want a polite dismissal right now. I'm serious. Then we both have that. We both have that ability too, and that's important too. Is to recognize when your spouse is like, all right, a little I'm sorry and we're moving on is not what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah. But in this Periscope, we're not going to solve all the reasons why we need an apology, which is sort of the path we're going down.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's easy to go all over. But what we do want to say is, like, any of those situations where, you're hurting each other's feelings intentionally or unintentionally, then knowing the apology language is a great tool to have in your marriage toolbox. It's just a great tool. And so that's a great book that I haven't read all the way. I've only skimmed and done reviews and done the test. And actually, it's been years since I've done it. That's why I can't quote all 5. Let's see.
But knowing your apology.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I showed it earlier, but I didn't show. I'll show it again to everybody who's on here now. So it's from the authors who did the 5 love languages, and it's the 5 languages of apology. You guys can also go to 247commitment.org, and we have a lot of resources out there for marriage. And actually, we are just kicking tail on our website upgrades. So if you go to firefighterwife.com/marriage right now, I'll fix that link. But all of our favorite marriage resources are out there, including this book is mentioned, including the blog post I mentioned about how I didn't hear I'm sorry for 7 years. That's one of the most read blog posts on our site, by the way, of all time, over 3 years. I mean, it's probably in the top 5 of how many times that's been read, which tells me it's a very important point, that a lot of people need to hear that and understand that and appreciate that. And then this book is great to go with it. So, okay. There are so many good comments. Thank you guys for all those good comments. I know I couldn't quite read all of them or get to them. I'm still learning on Periscope. Somehow people are able to go back and see comments, some Periscopers, and I'm going to have to do some more Periscope training to learn that. So the ones that scroll by, I'm like, how do I get back and see those?
I was looking at your notes, and apologies aren't just between your man and wife either. There's things that can come into your marriage because you haven't sought, either given or received an apology that you want. We're harmed or we're injured or we're hurt by people outside of our marriage that can carry and influence your marriage. So Lori had written down, what's the biblical principle of apologies? Everyone knows the 70 times 7 thing, forgive and forget. And we had a nice discussion before we even got on the scope about what that means to us and what we feel. And the forgive and forget is it's not easy to forgive. It's even more difficult to forget. I brought up to her, I said, if I show you my wallet and then I put it away and I say, forget that it's brown, you can't physically make yourself forget. And I believe that it's the whole, when you forgive with your heart, over time, you will forget. Mm-hmm. And there's your forget out of the forgiveness kind of.
Yeah. And the biblical side of it, I mean, the 70 times 7, if you're hurt in a big way, it just takes a long time to rebuild trust and to get, over that hurt. But the first step is for softening your heart and letting that forgiveness happen, right? Accepting the apology. Oh, and here's another great thing about apology that reminds me of. You may give a very heartfelt apology, but if the person doesn't receive it, that is not your responsibility, right? Amen. Those of you who are saying, I'm always saying I'm sorry, maybe your receiver is not accepting the apology. Could mean maybe you're not talking their apology language, could mean you're not apologizing for the right thing, could mean you're not changing your behavior, that they really want to see a changed behavior. But, everything, even in marriage, like you own this first. We talked about that on Tuesday this week, right? Like taking care of you, making yourself better, softening your heart, and really, letting your guard down and saying, I want to ask forgiveness for this because I really messed up. And processing and understanding what you really messed up. And then even then, that person may not accept that, right? And that's a tough place to be in, but then you just have to keep letting your actions show and your heart stay in that soft place and your actions show, hey, I'm sorry, I really messed up. I think equally, when you do have one of those good conversations and you get to that point of forgiveness and the forget part, it's not easy to forget. That mistake sort of like, it comes back up. It can come back up in healthy ways like, hey, we worked through this before. Remember when we worked through this? Sure. It can come back up in unhealthy ways if you let it. Like, you always, I hate that phrase in marriage. You always. Nothing sets me on edge more than you always do this. It's never that way. Because that's not a true statement. That's emotions, right? That's emotions speaking out. It's more like, when this happens, I feel like we always blah, 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 right, is maybe a better way to do it. But you can't keep, when there's forgiveness that has occurred, you can't keep bringing that up and throwing it back in the person's face. That's just not effective. That's pretty basic. We know that, right? Awesome. Do we have any more apology topics? Do we need to apologize for anything publicly? That could be the Periscope public apology.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there's plenty, I'm sure. I could sit and make you a list.
Yeah.
From being involved enough in the honor guard to not getting to people's comments to, it's a million things.
A big old bite of humble pie. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Humble yourself. As soon as I learned how to do that, Rich, life got a whole lot easier. A whole lot easier.
Yeah, because guess what? You're not always right. You are not always right. I'm pointing at myself. I'm not pointing at you're not always right. No, you're not always right. Yep.
Rich, I don't know if you know Seth Samples. They're on to Samples' husband.
They haven't met in person yet.
You two need to. When I think of you two, it's almost like these diametrically very, very alike people.
Yeah.
And Seth told me one time at Flame Fest in Atlanta, I believe it was.
Or Chicago. He didn't go to Atlanta. It was Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah.
But something that stuck with me really well, and this pertains to apologies. It pertains to a ton of stuff in my life, but it pertains to apologies as well. Because when I don't apologize, it's because I'm doing what I want to do, right? I'm being selfish. At the end of the day, that's really what it is. I don't want to humble myself, like Rich just said, and I want to do what I want to do. And Seth made a great comment. He said, I had to stop doing what Seth wanted to do because all it did was get me in trouble and take me down a road. So, you fix yourself. Dan doesn't always do what Dan, quote, air quotes around Dan. Dan can't do what Dan wants to do because it doesn't always lead to good. And as long as I stay focused on, and I'm not saying I'm not myself, I'm just saying that if I stay focused on God, focused on my marriage, focused on, not being that guy who, before I met Christ and before I met Lori, and I stay out of trouble. So being a good apologist is basically not always doing what Dan wants to do, but I know it's the right thing to do. That's right. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's part of that humble yourself. Humble yourself and understand that you, Dan, Rich, Seth, are not right here. And I can't do what I want to do. I got to do what's right. And apologize wholeheartedly. That's
right. All right. Good topic, guys. I knew this would be a good one. We've only got, what's today, the 29th? 2 more days left in Fire Prevention Year Marriage Month. Mm-hmm. And the last day we're going to do a wrap-up of all the favorite moments. So if you guys have any favorite moments from these 30 days or these 30 days of scopes, let me know. Let me know right away so I can even try to pull clips so we can share them. If you have any big topics we missed, I don't know that I can squeeze them into 2 days, but we can get them into November. What I found is that there's endless need to scope on all these topics. Basically anything we've ever put into our blog, written about, doing that on video like this brings it alive and brings new insights.
Yeah. People seem to really like this medium.
Yeah.
I think that's the true word.
Yeah, it's been a good medium.
We're all lazy. Nobody wants to read anything anymore. Everybody loves to click a link and watch a video.
Oh, no. Actually, I have people tell me they don't want to watch this because they prefer reading, right? So it's really a personality preference. People who haven't been reading the blog, a lot of you who didn't know about my blog post probably, may prefer watching the video. And of course, a lot of people enjoy the live interaction aspect. That's awesome. But
sure. What
we're doing is, I don't even know if I had time to tell you this. I got this guy in the UK, and he is taking all of our periscopes, and he's editing them into replays with transcription. So everything we spoke, he's turning it into a written article also. Yeah, it's very fun to read. And that way it also goes into the written form. So people who don't prefer video, because, you know, it takes time. It takes time to sit and listen to the video. Maybe you're not in a place that you can have your earphones in, or, you know, your kids around. So yeah. So we're going to have it in both formats. And that means those of you who've been scoping on this, which if you're scoping, hashtag 24/7 commitment at Wife on Fire so I can find it. And please set up your catch account, katch.me, so they live a little longer. We can pull snippets from your catch accounts and add it to our video feed here. So if you guys have a great thing to add about apology languages, tag me on that scope. Let me know, like, hey, this segment, you know, between 2 and 3 minutes was really powerful, and we'll add it into our video clip, and you can live on in infamy on the 247commitment.org website. Yeah, yes, exactly. I mean, you can repurpose this. It needs to reach more people than just, like, right now there's 19 live online. I don't know how many have come and gone, and we'll get the replays, but it can reach more people than just people that are right now at this moment able to be online.
9 o'clock on a Thursday morning.
Exactly. So it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys. We will talk to you tomorrow.